Old Men's Stories, heading into the universe. And I got Teri along, and she's going to tell us a wonderful series of stories.
The lady of the hour, and she's going to give a killer talk. Thank you all, and I'm stepping out for my heroine.
Okay, Roland said that it was a hectic weekend, but what I remember is when I was a little girl, my grandfather told us that if we could put salt on the tail of a bird, we could catch it. So he gave us salt shakers, and my brother and I would run around like idiots trying to put salt on the tail of the birds. Now that was hectic. What we did this weekend is go to the Boeing aircraft and watch them build airplanes, which was very interesting, but that's not what this is about. I'm supposed to tell you the story of when I was a little girl. My brother and I were the same age. We're not twins, but there's only a couple of months, a year and a couple of months between our ages. And we lived so far out in the country that we were best friends because there was nobody else to play with. Our nearest neighbor was 7 miles away. My grandfather was a wonderful man, and he told us a lot of things. One of the things he told us was if we killed a snake and threw it over a barbed wire fence and it landed belly up, it would rain. Well, it was Grandpa, of course. He never fibbed, and he never stretched the truth. He told us, and of course it would happen. So my brother and I got one of my dad's old army blankets, and we threw it over the clothesline and put rocks to hold it down. It was sort of a tent. And this was preparatory to not getting rained on, because we had just killed a rattlesnake. We threw it over a barbed wire fence and it landed belly up. So it had to rain. There was just no choice. And the sky was absolutely clear. There wasn't a cloud anywhere, not even the suggestion of a cloud. But we sat there for, maybe 2-3 minutes, and we both knew it was going to rain. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this little cloud formed, and it began to sprinkle. It wasn't a downpour, it wasn't a rain, but it did sprinkle. And that just proved it to us. We knew that Grandpa was omnipotent. There was just no way that it couldn't have happened. And then Roland asked me to tell you about during World War II, my brother and I decided, that was during the war, and the Germans were the bad guys. And there was an old well, dry, close to our house. And my brother and I used to take mason jars and pick up goat's heads, which are a sticker, and fill up those jars and go and put it in the bottom of that well. Our intent was that when the Germans came, we would grab them, throw them down the well, and they would be stuck to death by the goat's heads, which are about the size of my little fingernail. But at the time, it seemed like that was a great plan and it would work. There's something else I'm supposed to tell you, and I can't remember what it is. Do you remember?
Other stories.
Also, my grandfather...
I remember Superman.
Oh, yes. Well, that'll be the end of this one. My grandfather also, when it would rain and there were puddles and the raindrops were fairly large, they would hit the puddles, and you know how rain will splash up when it hits water? Well, he told me that those were rain fairies, and I always remember that. And to this day, they're still rain fairies to me. Now I'm supposed to tell you about my brother and Superman. We went to the movies every Saturday because we live so far out that the whole family would go into town and we would do the shopping for the week on the things that we didn't raise and pick up meat at the locker that we rented in town, and cheese and stuff like that, sugar, salt. And Mother, because we were really busy kids, would put us in the movie theater because you could see a movie then for 10 cents. And it had a full-length film, usually a serial, and 3 cartoons. So we had our day filled up. And Mother could do her stuff without a bunch of kids tagging along behind her, causing trouble. So we saw a movie about Superman. And my brother thought that he could fly. He thought that was the greatest thing he'd ever seen. And I knew he could fly. I mean, why not? We just saw Superman do it. So when we got home, he tied a pillowcase around his neck. And he got up on top of the barn, and he went running down the ridge of the barn, and he jumped off. And I thought he could fly, but he didn't. He landed on his face, and he got a concussion. And we had to take him to the doctor. The doctor gave him some really horrible medicine to take. And every time he took it, he'd throw up. So to keep him from throwing up, I took the medicine for him, knowing that that would make him better. And he did, he got better. But he still to this day has a scar. Well, not now, he's dead now, but not because he jumps off the barn, he died. He had a scar under his chin from being Superman. And that was it.
That was wonderful. Tell them where you live in New Mexico.
We lived in Causey, New Mexico, which is a little teeny tiny itsy bitsy town. It's sort of one of those wide spots in the road. And Roland and I went there a couple of years ago because I wanted him to see where I was raised, and he wanted to see it too. But there's nothing there. None of the houses we lived in are there. You can't even tell that there ever was a house there, especially the house where my brother jumped off the barn. It's gone. Even the windmill is gone. Everything is gone. And in town, our house wasn't there. It was gone. But my dad's shop, he was a mechanic. His shop is still there. And it still looks good. I don't know what's in it now, but at the time it was the local garage that fixed all the cars. And the school is still there, although there had apparently been a fire and it's closed now. You can't tear down a school in New Mexico. You can abandon it, but you can't tear down the building. So the building is still there. And we went up to the building and peeped in the windows, and I saw my 2nd grade classroom. I saw the desks were still there, the blackboard was there. The reason I remember it is the first green chalkboard that I had ever seen. I always thought they were all black, and it was still there. The cards that they had around the top of the chalkboards for the alphabet were still up. It was like the floor was gone, the ceiling was gone, the walls were still there, the desks were there. It was very wonderful. It was a wonderful experience. I didn't expect that at all. I thought everything would be gone because every place I lived was gone. But Roland got to see it, and I got to see it. And it was almost like being there again when I was little. And that was my growing up.
Old men's stories floating back to earth. Thank you, love.